Hey everyone, this is not financial advice. I'll ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we will just dive in today's topic, which is an update on my investment portfolio, currently standing at $65.1 thousand. And the last trading day that we had, I saw my portfolio gain 1.4%, which was over $800, which for the first time in a long time put my portfolio back into the green or into the black, as it were. So we're looking here at the results of my portfolio, and we see it compared to a few other indexes. In the last 5 days, I'm up about 2%. And we can compare that to the S&P 500, which is up 1%. The Dow Jones is up 2.6%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq is up only 0.5%. And so, 4 times the performance of the tech-heavy Nasdaq. And then also looking at the Russell 2000, which is small cap and mid cap stocks, that thing's up almost 4%. So my portfolio is kind of right in between the Russell 2000 and the NASDAQ, sitting at a healthy 2% in gains over 5 days. Again, about 1.4% just the other day, putting me at $65.1 thousand. Putting me up something like $500 or $600 in unrealized gains. So this doesn't account some of the profit that I took early on in my investing career, or dividends, although it sort of does because they're all reinvested. But this is kind of what we're looking at here, and we're going to go through it. So these were the results on Friday. Today is December 2nd. December 3rd, Sunday, December 3rd, 2023. So just a few days ago, um, these were the results of some of my investments. I'm going to take a second and look at this with you here. So 49% of my companies are large cap companies, meaning 51% are the majority are mid or small cap companies. And so, that's kind of where you're seeing some of that relative outperformance in the last few days. Whereas the market is tilted towards large cap growth, my portfolio is going to be tilted smaller and more value orientated. And so I've been buying a lot of these quirky names for the last 2.5 years. We'll see how that strategy pays off over the next 2.5 years, but I feel okay about it. So I'll ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to go through these together, and just you can look with your eyes and see what I saw the other day when my portfolio gained over $800. It's kind of exciting. So just the other day, I saw Ulta Beauty and Foot Locker both go up over 10%. Um, I think that people are feeling better about the economy. They feel that Black Friday went okay, and that Christmas is also going to be okay as well. So we saw some strong financial results from some different retailers. Hopefully, none of these end up like Kmart. But keep in mind, this is just a 1 day performance. So I do have a video out on both of these, Ulta and Foot Locker, but both gaining over 10% the other day. Um, some more interesting things. We saw Coinbase go up over 7%. That's a pretty big holding for me. And so you can just see here on this first page, um, I do own 68 individual securities. About 40 of them or 45 of them are stocks. Then there are about 15 index funds or ETFs. So it can kind of be a lot to take in here, but I'll just sort of take it on a page by page basis here. We talked about some of these. You can also see Williams Sonoma was up over 4%. You've got a cyclical small cap value company like Scott's Miracle Grow up 5%, just out of nowhere. It tends to do that during this time of the year. But you're seeing retail, including Williams Sonoma, Walgreens doing well, Best Buy doing well, much maligned companies that I've held and bought into, up, down, or sideways. Some other companies doing well, companies like Turning Point Brands, which is the company that sells zigzag rolling papers and other assorted sundries. Sort of a small cap value stock with some real big outperformance. Large cap value, Tyson did really well the other day. Um, some more risky small cap stocks, cannabis stocks, Dollar General, large cap value, and then Vanguard's VBR did really good, 2.7%. And that was just in the other day. So just sort of, it can be fun sometimes to look at someone else's portfolio, see what holdings they have, what allocations they have. Um, look at other people's portfolio and find a couple ticker symbols that look interesting to you. See things that you own, or see things that you would never own. And I think that's just kind of fun, checking out other people's portfolios. So that's kind of what we're doing here today. I'm just letting you look through my own eyes. After I had that really positive $800 day, these were the results for just that day of trading. And so we'll just sort of pause page by page. If there's anything particularly noteworthy, I'll call it out. But just sort of giving you that first person perspective of what I owned and how it did the other day. And, the performance over 1 day or 5 days doesn't really matter that much. Um, but again, like I said, I think it's just kind of interesting to see a different person's portfolio from their perspective. So I'll ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and stay tuned because I'm going to show you something here in a second um, that's a little bit more of a high level overview and helps you to get a good understanding of how I have these different things allocated. And so I've just taken it page by page, as it were, so you can sort of see all the names that I own and how they performed the other day. A really good day for my portfolio, where um, this is Sunday afternoon. So on Friday evening, my portfolio was up 1.4% to the market's 0.60%. So I had a really good, strong day there. But I think the best thing to do to wind this video down will be to take a look at um, my investments visualized. And so we can pause here and see that about 21% of what I own is the total US stock market. This is a Fidelity mutual fund. I then have Amazon at around 9%. And then I have a lot of different holdings in this 3 to 4% range. So a lot of diversification in my portfolio, but names like Smith & Wesson, Winnebago, VBR is that Vanguard small cap value. Pretty standard stuff like Google and Visa, but then also some Netflix, also some less common names or companies: Williams Sonoma, WSM, KOF, Mexican Coke, Coinbase, things that I hold overweight to the market. Companies like Intel, which remarkably I'm up 13% on now. Companies like Best Buy, Salesforce, different index funds, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of get the whole picture here, but where we'll actually end the video out is taking a look at the results of my different investments over all time. As I'm setting this up for you to take a peek at, I'll ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But what we're going to do is we'll look at all of these different holdings by value, and then we'll look at it for total gains or losses. And so going page by page, up about 10% of my largest holding, which is the Fidelity Total Market Index Fund, down 11% on Amazon. I've been down as much as 50, 60% on that. So that's come a long way. Down over $1,000 on Smith & Wesson. This one tends to do really well in the time period leading up to an election. Who to thunk it? So I'm actively adding here, and I feel really strongly about this one. Completely flat on Winnebago for 2.5 years, so that was super boring. Small cap value. I kind of use this to barbell um, my Fidelity total stock market. So the total US market skews a little bit larger and growthier. And then with the VBR ETF, that's a small cap value fund. So that's helping to balance the portfolio out, barbell it in a sense. away from the S&P 500 or the total US market, which again is large value. I like to barbell that. And my overall portfolio theme is smaller and more so value based stocks, smaller stocks with a value tint. And so it's nice to be able to just sort of encapsulate that in one fund. So I've only held this for about 6 months, but it's up a respectable 3%. And that's one of my larger holdings. And so just on this first page, I'll read off each individual name that I own that's over $1,000. And you're able to see my lifetime performance on all of these as I do that. So I'll ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's wind this down by finishing off just a review of my top holdings in the $1,000 plus club. So we also have Google, which is a no-brainer. Williams Sonoma, a great stock and company that I love. I'm up a lot on that. Netflix, high conviction holding. After it bottomed out twice, I kept on buying more. So far, that's turned out pretty good. Coinbase, coulda, shoulda, woulda bought a lot more than that, but I had the conviction necessary at the time, up almost 70% on Coinbase. I also hold Visa, Mexican Coke, a large cap growth index fund, ETF through Vanguard, called VUG. I've held on to that for about 2 years. That's up 20%. So I'm really happy with that. Then Apple, another no-brainer. Intel, like I said, this is remarkable that I'm up 14% on this guy. Winding down the $1,000 and above club, we have Best Buy and Salesforce, both companies that I feel great about despite having different midterm performance returns. So last company I mentioned was Salesforce. I'm going to take it page by page so you can just sort of see each and every one of my holdings. And again, highlighted here, 5.25%. That's how much I'm up on SCHY, an international dividend ETF. But we're here on SCHY, and you're able to see in green or red my all-time performance on all of these. Call out anything I see interesting. Down 42% on Walgreens. That's hurt a lot. Down 74% on Trulieve Cannabis. It's the largest medical marijuana company in Florida. Pretty well run, with the exception of a few corruption scandals. Looks like marijuana is going to be on the ballot in Florida in 2024. So we'll see what that does for me. I'm holding it. But we can see some other names up 15% on Tesla. That's cool. So we'll leave it there. And then continue to go down so you can review all these, the lifetime returns of all these different investments. Up 47% on Facebook stock. Coulda, shoulda, woulda about more than that. We can see some other names. Down 4% on Ketchup, Kraft Heinz. It's not a huge position for me. And then here's our last page of different companies that I hold, where you can see some great performance, some fair performance, et cetera, et cetera. So that is it. That's what we're looking at. $65,100 portfolio as of December 3rd, a Sunday, end of 2023. Thanks for stopping by. Like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one.